Hey everybody, Garcia here. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the expansions to Everdell, going out on a trip and weathering the elements in Everdell Spirecrest. This is the second large expansion to Everdell. The original Pearlbrook was a very interesting expansion. I liked it a lot. And it was an interesting mix of new concepts that I thought in my original review for it would detract from what was going on the main board, but it ended up feeling natural, and so I liked it. This one gives you another new board, and in fact, they don't really recommend that you mix these. You want to play with this, you just play with this and the base game. But in this one, you are sending a little rabbit traveler of yours across a path, dealing with different weather elements and finding new things along the way. So that's what you're going to be doing in this one. What do I think of it? How do I feel it mixes with the original game? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at how it all works, and I'll see you on the other side. To set up the expansion, you are going to unfold this new board here, and you are going to add it to the bottom of the general Everdell board. And it's going to hook up into the pattern at the bottom of the board so that they become one singular longer board. Really cool effect the way that works out. Everyone gets one of these rabbit travelers, and you're going to put it here at the beginning of this path. And you are going to shuffle up the three different decks of cards here for the different locations, as well as the cards for the seasons. You're going to select one of them. There are three of each. And you're going to place it there. I've actually got all the decks laid out, but normally you select a single one and place it there face down. Once that's done, everyone gets one of these Everdell map tiles. They play that in front of them. And you are going to shuffle up these tiles, the exploration tiles here, and reveal a number of them at the beginning of the path here, equal to the number of players plus one. So there are actually four there. And then set out four more for the second leg of the trip and four more for the final leg of the trip. The rest of them you can set aside, as well as any leftover Everdell map tiles there. And then you're ready to begin. So this is all going to come into play every time a player does a prepare for season action on their turn. And you are going to perform 3 steps down here in order to utilize this new board. They are going to be chart, discover, and travel. So let's say the orange player is going to do a prepare for season action. They go ahead and do that. They get their new tiles. They get the new workers, all of that stuff. And then they do these 3 steps over here without ideally getting knocked around the board like I just did. So the first thing is chart. They are going to take one of these tiles in front of them and put it next to their Everdell map there. So the way these work is at the end of the game, you are attempting to traverse these tiles by paying the necessary cost at the bottom and getting extra victory points. So if I want this one, I better make sure that I can discard 4 cards at the end so I can advance onto it and get 4 victory points. But let's say I have a lot of berries. A lot of my cards give me berries. So I might take this one. Cash in 3 berries, get 4 victory points. I attach it here to my map. And that's it for that step. Again, eventually, I'm going to get another one from the center, and then lastly, one from the last leg of the trip. And once that's done, at the very end of the game, I'm going to take my little rabbit explorer and walk through them, seeing how far I can get, paying the necessary things, right? So if I end up with something that looks like this, then I'll discard 3 berries, move on to here, discard 4 cards, move on to here. And then let's say I don't have those resources, I don't make it onto that one, I get another 8 victory points there at the end. Yeah? Simple enough. So that's the first thing I do, and that is chart. By taking a look at the tiles and picking one to add to my path. Next up, I'm going to discover. And the way that works is I'm going to reveal 3 cards from the deck in which I am, the region I'm in, and I'm going to play them out here like this. And I'm going to acquire one, whichever one I want. This one here has no cost associated with it. This one I must discard 1 card or 1 resource. This one I must discard 2 cards or resources, all right? and they're going to give me some new power that sticks around. So for example, let's take a look at a couple of these. This one here, Mist Rise Trail, gives me 4 victory points if I have at least 3 of that kind of card in my city. Great. So I get this early on, and I can start working towards that. I've also got some other ones over here. This one is an open location where we can send workers to draw 3 cards, gain 1 resource for each worker here, including the one that was just placed. And it's got spots for 3 workers there. You're also going to find in these decks new critters, the large critters. Now let's see if I have one here I can show you. So this guy, for example, might show up. And if I choose to take him, I am going to grab the matching large critter, a very chunky wood meeple here. I'm going to put a saddle on it, which is quite adorable. And I'm going to put one of my regular meeples on that. Let's say I'm playing the foxes, which are included in this expansion. I'm going to add the fox to the top of this large critter here, like so, using the little saddle to hold him. Isn't that adorable? And then from that point on, he's going to work like a regular worker for me with an added benefit given by this card. In this case, this guy here at the start of Prepare for Season, I may choose to leave him where he is and activate that location, also draw 1 card and gain 1 resource. So really powerful stuff, and these just give you something unique that no one else is going to have in the game. And there are several of these. You're going to have a giant bear and a giant wolf. You're going to have this big guy here, and even this flying critter that you can choose to mount up, I guess, and go for a ride. So there you go. Those are the giant critters there. Once that's done, and I've done that step, then I'm going to travel, which just means I take my character and move on to the next spot and reveal these 4 so that I can take a look at what's coming up and start thinking about which one I might want to grab the next time I pass from one season to the next. Now, the final thing I haven't touched on is the actual cards that are up here. Like I said, there's 1 in each of these spots. And at the very beginning of the game, the first one's already revealed. So let's go ahead and reveal one. There's a blizzard. And this one says, whenever you gain goods from a forest location, you gain 1 less. So this is in effect as long as you are standing right here at the beginning. And as soon as you pass on to the next season, it stops affecting you, but you will reveal the next one. And now we're looking at a tornado. The tornado says you may not play any cards from the meadow. So I can only play to my city cards from my hand. I'm going to have to draw them from the meadow first if I want to use those cards. And this continues. This player later on might advance. The ones down here go away, by the way, that you didn't acquire. And then they will take another one of these tiles. They will reveal 3 more from this deck, like so. They're going to acquire 1, and then they will move along to the next spot. And then maybe the orange player moves on to this one, and they'll do the next thing, where they reveal the next season, take one of the center cards, and so on. That's basically it. At the end of the game, you're going to have 3 of these special cards that might or might not give you more victory points or special abilities. You are going to have a path built out in front of you from these tiles, and you are going to advance on that path as much as you want to or can, get some extra victory points that way, and some extra victory points from these. And that's pretty much it. So that's the general idea. A little something more going on that you have to deal with when you change from one season to the next. And you can find all sorts of things when you do so. I'm not going to show you all of the cards in the other 2 decks. Just suffice to say there are more big critters, more unique abilities, really powerful stuff that can definitely change the gameplay for you and the things you want to focus on. So there you go. That's how the expansion works. Let's go ahead and go back up top and let me give you some final thoughts. That is Spirecrest. So let me talk about it, all right? I really like Everdell. I think it's a great game. And the expansions, there are 3 already, have all added to a game that I thought was replete with options as it was. But I've yet to find any one of them really overwhelms the structure. It's stayed cohesive when you add in an expansion. And I think Spirecrest here ultimately does the best job at that, of feeling like an organic extension of the original game with some new things to consider. A big part of that is because I think it knows when to stay out of the way and when to become front and center and become about the expansion. So let me break it down here for you, all right? Here are my thoughts. I'm going to start with thematic ties. The concept here, traveling, dealing with the weather, going on a quest, on a trek. It's really cool. It's captivating. It's interesting. It's attractive. I like the theme here a lot. And the theme extension of the original world that the game created. The aesthetics here are great. Nice board. It really looks good attached to the bottom of the original board, which is more than I can say for the original board from Pearlbrook. Pearlbrook here, you added this to the side of the main board. This new one just looks better than sort of the growth on the side of the original board that you got with this one. So I like that. I also like those large meeples, you know, those giant animals. Those are really cool. The saddles are great. The whole thing looks really good, and it's covered in excellent artwork. The replayability here, you get awesome new powers. It forces the players to adapt to those weather conditions. So I think the replayability gets a major boost. This really helps come back to a game you've maybe played a lot and force you to tackle new problems, give you new answers to old problems. It gives you a lot. And what will come up, what you'll have access to is limited, which I think is great because it forces you to adapt to a strategy you might not have considered. Really great stuff. The game length, I don't feel is affected by this. You're doing a little bit more now when you pass from one season to the next, but it's quick, it's interesting, and it's lively. It's a different thing than what you've been doing, so it does not feel like it bogs down the game length. If it is longer, it's not perceptively so. It might be a few minutes longer, but you don't feel like it's repetitive. I think that's what helps. The ease of play is pretty good. You have to be mindful, usually, of the weather effect so that you are not making a mistake or doing something that is illegal. But other than that, it is a very smooth play. This folds right into the base game very easily. You are going to be building up that little path you travel on. It gives you a little something to shoot towards the end of the game. Reserving the things and keeping the necessary cards or components you want, so you can advance on that little track you've built for yourself, that little map, that path. So that's great as well. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck, all of those things. Again, major boost here in that you have so many new options and tactics and things you must adapt to. That's ultimately what I really like about this expansion. I think it is fantastic. I was impressed after the first expansion, Pearlbrook, though I went into it with some worries, and I can see where those worries came from. With this, when it was announced, my main worry was, wow, that's a lot of content very quickly. But I have to say, this just feels like a better, more natural expansion than Pearlbrook, in my opinion. So here's a bottom line for you. The best expansion for Everdell feels both intricate and like a natural extension, while offering plenty of replayability. This is going to get a 9 out of 10 from me. And like I said, in my opinion, this is the best expansion for Everdell. If you have the base game, you've played a bunch, this is where you want to go next. And then after that, Pearlbrook. So there you go. This is going to get, of course, with that 9 out of 10, a seal of excellence. Fantastic work here. Definitely recommend it. The base game, this. And then after that, get yourself Pearlbrook. So there you go, Spirecrest. That's it from me, everybody. I am Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.